This is Annabelle Gauberti and you are listening to Lawfully Creative, my podcast to talk with professionals in the creative industries, to hear their stories, what inspires their creation, what decisions change their careers, what relationships influence their work. Today's episode is brought to you by Crefovi, our London and Paris-based law firm focused on advising the creative industries. Subscribe to our podcast Lawfully Creative or catch up with our original shows on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, SoundCloud, TuneIn and Overcast. Please do leave a review and rating about our podcast to encourage others to discover our curated content. Thanks! On the 29th of May, I had the pleasure of sitting down with Charlotte Seddon, who is the head designer at Globe Trotter, the luxury luggage company, as well as with Momiji Matsuura, who is the PR manager of Globe Trotter. I've been a long-standing customer of Globe Trotter and have a few suitcases made by them that every 2 or 3 years I have to send back for repairs. In the new shop that they have in Albemarle Street in London, in Mayfair, I have become even more in awe at the beautiful pieces of luggage and the craftsmanship put into making those really, really superb suitcases and bags and little boxes and beauty cases. I actually have my eye on a really ravishing beauty case, which would be a perfect fit with my 2 other suitcases that I bought from Globetrotter a few years ago. So, because I'm a customer and also because I'm so interested in that brand and in the Globetrotter products, I suggested to interview Charlotte as well as Momiji at the factory based in Broxbourne. Well, thank you so much, Momiji and Charlotte. The discovery of your factory. It was amazing. It's a bit like discovering the Charlie Wonka's chocolate factory. Yeah. Shall we get cracking?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Good. I saw, Charlotte, that you studied at London College of Fashion.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
And that you selected the major perhaps of the expertise in cordwainers accessories.
Yes.
Would you please explain to us what you did when you were at London College of Fashion and why this specialty in cordwainers accessories?
So cordwainers has been going for years, and it's a really prestigious college that specialises in leatherwork, so saddlery, footwear and accessories. Before I joined London College of Fashion bought the cordwainers name and carried on the course. Ah. So when I studied there, my degree course was called Fashion Accessories, but it was run in very much the same way as cordwainers, so it's really heavily focused on craftsmanship, working with leather. The course was very hands-on, so although it was a design course and I had to design my product, I also had to make the product as well.
While you were there?
While I was there, yeah. So every single project that I worked on, I'd basically design and then I'd make the product, and it was always with leather. So,
and why did this passion? How did that come about? When you were a child, you were inspired by leather things?
I never planned to go into accessories. I think my dad's a carpenter and joiner, so I think I've always had that. I've been around that kind of that skill and that craft. And when I left school, I did want to go into fashion or dressmaking or do something creative. So I did a BTEC in fashion and clothing.
What does it mean, BTEC?
A BTEC, it's a course that you do before a degree. So it's what you do after your A-levels, between your A-levels and your degree course. So it's a 2-year BTEC in fashion and clothing. I also looked at photography and I did some dressmaking classes as well. So I did want to go more into clothing. But while I was at college, I actually found a very small part-time job working for a leather maker called Melissa Simpson. And
yes, on your LinkedIn profile.
Yes. So I worked with her on my days off when I was at college, and it was in a very small studio, just making leather products, so accessories such as bags and small wallets and belts. So while I was working with her, I was just introduced to that to leatherwork. And I just started to feel that deep down that was what I was kind of enjoying more. And I think working with leather, it just felt more me. So when I came to applying for a degree course, I saw at London College of Fashion that you could actually do a degree in accessories. So I thought, Cordwainers, yeah. And I knew of that because I knew the Cordwainers College was in Hackney, which is where my parents are from. So I'd always known about Cordwainers and leatherwork. And I think the fact that I had this strong link with Melissa Simpson meant that it would only help me in my degree because I could work with her and I was learning from her, and it just felt right. So,
is she still around?
She's still around. She's still, she's still a good friend of mine as well. So,
so when you were at the London College of Fashion, you were not going to the offices in the centre of London, and I think it's on Regent Street or Oxford Street.
Yes, I was.
You were as well as going to Hackney?
Yes. So the offices in central London, that is like the main base, which is on St John's Prince's Street.
Right.
At Oxford Circus. That's the main base. That's where the libraries are. That's where we'd go for lectures. But day to day, I was in the Barbican. And it was a really beautiful little...
Gosh, you were commuting quite a lot, huh?
Well, I live in London. So, at the time I was living in London. So I was living in London then, I still live in London now. So it was in the Barbican. It's in this gorgeous old primary school. So it was a really lovely college, and downstairs was footwear and upstairs was accessories. So
interesting. I didn't know that the London College of Fashion had some real estate and some basically courses being done at the Barbican. That's interesting.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah,
there's a lovely location.
It is.
So many beautiful retrospectives and
I loved it.
And exhibitions there as well.
Yeah.
The latest being Jean-Paul Basquiat. Great. Okay. And so, how did this opportunity at Globe Trotter come about? I mean, were you recruited straight after your degree?
Well. So when I was doing my degree, my final major project was all about travel. So I looked at Globe Trotter and some various other brands. And so when I finished my degree course, like most graduates, I needed a job. So I approached Globe Trotter and asked if there was any opportunities for a graduate. And
so you created your own job?
Yeah, I did.
Did you replace anyone?
No, I literally picked up the phone and called through and spoke to the brand manager at the time, and he said fine, like, send your work in to me, send your CV. And then he replied saying that, as it happens, we are actually talking about employing somebody as an in-house designer, and I feel that your work is actually
amazing,
quite what we want. So to cut a long story short, I got the job, and it just so happened that the job was actually based in Hoddesdon, which is my hometown, where I grew up.
Right.
So it kind of all the stars were aligned for me, it felt. And it was, just, that's how it happened.
Well done.
Yeah, so looking...
Because in March 2009, I mean, that was just after the recession. The UK was really
I remember. My friends were all,
The market was not great, even for luxury goods. Lots of people, with the Chinese as well, with the fight against corruption, they also started to really slow down and rein in terms of buying some luxury products. So I remember... I was working as a banking and corporate lawyer at the time, and 2008 is where the Bear Stearns fund started to collapse. Everything, it was pretty dire. You did very, very well, and so it's been like your sole and only job for the last.
I feel very much part of the family. It's. Well, I remember that recession, and I did feel incredibly lucky.
Because probably a lot of your mates from London College of Fashion stayed. They were perhaps not as successful as you were.
Exactly. Yeah, I know one of my friends. She went to work for a major high street brand actually, and I think because of the recession, her job went sideways. And I remember a lot of that. And some of my friends didn't from my course didn't get jobs. And
so at the time, Momiji explained that the brand was bought around 20 years ago by this Japanese gentleman. I'm sorry, I forgot his name.
Yes, it was Chiyasu Takubo. He has he also owns a company called BLBG, which is British luxury brand group. So he set that up, and also is the owner of Globe Trotter, where he was very much introducing British brands to a Japanese customer.
Oh, okay.
So that's how it sort of evolved.
Well, he seems to be a pretty flexible and open-minded guy, because here is Charlotte, freshly graduated from SEF, who basically applies and he works out. Is that
he's great.
Is that customary in Japanese companies, that people are so open-minded? They're ready to actually create a position for someone who seems to be talented, or is it usually a bit more rigid?
From my experience, I sort of have the impression that it's probably not. I think he is a bit of an anomaly in that he's very.
He's sort of a raw diamond, ready to be cut in Charlotte.
But he's very creative himself, isn't he?
Yeah.
So
really?
How?
He used to actually be a journalist, so he came from that sort of background and really enjoys writing, as well as sort of being involved in a lot of the marketing of the brand.
Oh, I was about to say, that's good for your blogging pages.
Yeah.
He's a good writer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. And so how did you evolve from being a junior designer, Charlotte, at Globe Trotter, who basically created a job position, which is just amazing in the middle of the worst recession since probably, I think we can say, for the Second World War, or exactly. How did you evolve from being the junior starting designer to basically the head of creative, head of design at Globe Trotter? What was the process in terms of understanding, the ropes in the company, and then bringing on your own ideas, creativity?
Well, I feel like myself and Globe Trotter, we've both grown together in a way. Yes. So when I joined, Globe Trotter only produced suitcases. They didn't make leather bags, and so that was completely new. So when I joined, that was kind of my job, was to help for the brand to launch leather goods. So I feel like we've kind of grown together, and over the time we've I've helped the brand develop our own in-house leather goods line. So it's been a kind of natural progression, I suppose.
But would you say that you also have some input on the production of new models for the cases, or would you say that you are only working on the bags, on the leather accessories?
No, I'm involved in a lot of in everything really. Always kind of trying to help think of ways to improve the suitcases, and obviously working on the leather goods as well. So I mean, an example would be like the size of our best-selling 20-inch trolley case. I mean, over the years I've worked here, I've seen it go slightly down in size. So that's something that, of course.
So the 20-inch trolley case. That's the one you can actually put. That's right.
Yeah,
I have one of these.
Yeah,
very, very, very handy. Actually, and you don't have to queue at the when you arrive and to get so. And so, what happened with that? Sorry, they evolved in size. Because of the new regulations, right?
Because the regulations always changing. The size is always getting smaller, and that's our biggest size to carry on. So so we're always trying to
adjust the design.
Adjust the design, and just make keeping on track of these kind of market trends.
Why would you explain that they are basically always trying to reduce the size which is allowed in on board in the cabin?
Is there a good question, actually?
Is the size of planes shrinking, or?
Possibly more people want just to have carry-on rather than put anything in the hold. I think people are becoming more possessive about keeping their luggage with them. So
there's more. It's more numerous.
More people taking stuff on, so they have to maybe restrict the amount. But
speaking personally, I carry on much more now with my. I don't really tend to. If I can help it, I will take a carry-on case instead, rather than checking my luggage in. So
I think people want to carry on because it's quicker. The speed of getting through the airport as well, so they just prefer just to have cabin luggage and then get on and off, and don't want the hassle of.
Well, then you have to fly Lufthansa or BA, because if you do EasyJet, they will say no, only one piece of luggage is allowed in the cabin, so the rest goes to the booth. Right. So would you please kindly just perhaps describe a typical day for you, Charlotte, as the head of design at Globe Trotter? What would be a typical day in the office, or not in the office? at the in the factory or at the shop for you? What would that entail?
Well, I guess every day is different, really. Like there isn't really a typical day because we're always working on special projects and collaborations with other brands. But of course, I'm always working on our in-house leather goods line as well. So I guess I'm based here in the office and the factory. So I don't know, a typical day, I guess it's liaising with the factory a lot, working with the sample makers, obviously designing the product.
So how would that work? Would they approach you and they would say, okay, so using that material, like, would they give you some constructive feedback?
Yeah,
on
absolutely.
How to...
I mean, I'll obviously design the product, and I use Illustrator, which is a computer-based design program.
What, from Mac?
From a Mac, yeah. So I'll create a specification for, for example, for a bag, I'll do a specification, and that gets handed over to the factory.
Okay.
And then the sample makers will first of all make a prototype, and then I'll work with them on like correcting it, and then we'll go into like a leather sample. But I'm very fortunate that I have the factory
just
outside my door.
Yeah, exactly. That's good. It's constructive feedback.
It's very unique, and I'm very lucky to have that because I've got constant communication with them,
it's awesome.
And it's a really nice system to have.
And I saw you had a very swanky, very large Mac on your desk when Momiji and I came to say hello.
Yeah.
Is that really important? Because I also work on Mac, and I noticed that, and our law firm specializes in advising the creative industry. So I noticed that, unlike when I was a banking and finance lawyer in the city of London, for 10 years, where we all had PCs. A lot of creatives do prefer Mac, and one of the reasons being because the design and also the quality of the screens is amazing.
Yeah.
Would you prefer?
I've only ever used Mac. Yeah. I've never used a PC. Whenever I do, I'm like,
Right.
I've only ever used.
It does
make
make
a
massive
Mac.
difference.
Yeah.
It's
have an iPhone. It's all
Illustrator.
kind of Illustrator.
Which is from the Adobe suite then.
It is, yeah. So Illustrator, a little bit of Photoshop as well. I might use if I'm doing a mood board or something like that. But
for marketing,
but basically everything pretty much is on Illustrator. So
okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. Great. So you've got this constructive feedback coming from your guys in the factory.
Yeah.
How does it work? I mean, is it like quite hierarchical in terms of the organization, or could it be like even a trainee who started a few months ago and who's been working with you on the prototype who would come back and give you the feedback, or would he actually go to a manager? How does it work?
Well, whenever I produce a specification, we have a meeting with our sample makers, and they're all trained leather goods makers, so they're very skilled at what they're doing here.
They work here. Okay.
They all work here in house. Okay. Yeah, so there's maybe like 4 or 5 of them. So they do work on the production line, but they're quite external from that when it comes to sample making. So we'll have a meeting, and we'll go through the spec, and we'll make sure that both of us are all clear on exactly what we're doing. Any questions on the design, they'll ask me, and I'll ask them if there's, I might need their feedback on some design from like a manufacturing point of view.
Yeah.
So we have a meeting and we make sure that we're all happy with it, and then they'll go off and they'll make the product.
With their teams.
Yeah. So I brief. Yeah. So basically, we have a briefing, and then of course, if there's any questions along the way of making the product, I'm pretty much always in the office there. So. And
do you sometimes introduce some new materials, some new fabrics, or even some new colours?
Oh yeah, absolutely. With the leather goods especially. Mm-hmm. So this season, for autumn into 18, we're looking at some metallic leather.
Metallic leather. How do you get that? Like through probably it's been printed, or it's been.
Yeah, it would have been like a printing process onto the leather. Okay. But we have leather agents that we go to, and we go to trade shows. Yes, at Premier Vision in Paris, and Ligne Pelle.
The one in February, I suppose, is the most important of the year.
Yes, so we go to Sometimes we alternate between the two. It kind of depends on.
The other one is in Italy.
It's in Milan. Yeah, it's called Ligne Pelle.
When is that?
That is a couple of times a year. I'm trying to think when the last one was actually.
Don't worry, that's fine. We'll check it out. But I went to Premier Vision because I had I wanted to check the scene, and it's in Porte de Villepinte, which is in the middle of nowhere in the outskirts of Paris. But it's a massive trade show, probably one of the biggest in the world. And I had a case and a matter on which I worked, which involved the Premier Vision, etc. So I also wanted to check the scene, and I saw that there were some massive booths editors, publishers who were selling some trend forecasting reports.
Yeah.
Is that something that, if you as a designer, is essential to your work, or would you read those trend forecasting?
It's not essential because we're not a fashion brand. We're a luxury travel goods brand. So,
but for the colours, for the
for colours definitely. We need to make sure that we are kind of aligned with the trends, but it's not essential that we have to follow them. So I think when you go to trade shows like Linear Pele or Premier Vision, when you go and look at the leathers, they will actually have like seasonal colours anyway. So I think a lot of it is based on taste and making sure that the colours are right for us and that we feel like our market will buy them, I suppose. So yeah.
So it's not your personal taste. It's more like you were saying before that you also use mood boards to basically assess the trends and what's going on in the market. Do you use Instagram as well to check the trends? Or social media is useful for you?
Instagram, everything really. I mean, assessing the trends is kind of like every day as well. I mean, in terms of like travel goods, it's I'll always be watching people, like if I go to the airports or like traveling day to day, how people are carrying their bags and what kind of bags they're carrying, and
I see.
It's kind of something that you have to sort of
fantastic. So
assess all the time. Yeah.
Does this mean that you have to travel a lot as well? I understand also that the Asian customer base of your wonderfully perfectionistic and beautiful brand is also growing. So how can you get attuned to the not the needs but the wishes of the Asian customer base? Do you go to Japan and China from time to time?
Yeah, I've visited Japan quite a few times. But I think in terms of designing for them, we are quite a small brand, so we can't really design just for one particular market. But we'll always kind of be sensitive to any needs, if there's any kind of colours that might be sensitive to them, or any kind of cultural times in the year, say like cherry blossom season. We'll always.
Well, the rose gold. I mean, the rose gold suitcases must be killing in Japan.
Exactly.
With young women.
So
an absolute killing.
Yeah.
Well, even with me, there would be a killing, but I already have some sort of suitcases which are blue. So
I think
another life.
There's definitely some lines that.
But perhaps it's so subtle, that product. I'm so sorry to interrupt. I don't think that perhaps European women would react in the same way. They might go for the like super bold fuchsia. Pink, which for me is like perhaps a bit too much. Well, you see, or like an American from Los Angeles, you would probably go for that. The rose, gold rose would probably be more subtle and full Asian taste. Or
that's exactly what I was going to say, actually.
Unbelievable. Yeah, is that right?
Well, like the deluxe range, it's a much bigger seller in Japan than what it is here. So I think our flagship store here sells a lot more of like black, navy, conservative colours.
Yes, that I can, especially if you've got some male clients. Yes, I'm dealing with a fuchsia pink Globe Trotter suitcase.
But you're right. I mean, there are some sort of very pop colours that. We had an orange case that was extremely popular over here, but it wasn't quite so popular over in Asia. But it's a sort of big. There's so much flexibility to the product that it's great because you can test it out with rose gold or turquoise or silver or metallic, but it's always quite fun, isn't it? Just to see the reaction.
Turquoise and
TBC,
but I see that you've got also some input from your PR person. I think this is of course, because Momiji got both culture, and she's been living. She was telling me until 12 years old in Japan, so of course it makes total sense to take some.
But like I said, we are a small company, and we all listen to each other as well. So I will always make sure that I visit the flagship store and I get feedback from the store manager of what customers are asking for. And, we all kind of work together. So we do.
So on this note, actually, I think that my understanding is that you've got the flagship store in Bond Street, which is where I love going and looking at the products. I'm also getting my suitcases repaired from time to time. I had them for 12 years, so I still use them almost every time I travel. And then I see that I saw that on your website that you have some various stockists around the world. Is that how the the flagship store in London, and then some stockists in various parts of the world?
Yeah, so our main flagship is on Albemarle Street in Mayfair.
Yeah.
And then
did I say Bond Street? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, just in case everyone goes to Bond Street, but yeah, just off Bond Street. We also have stockists in Harrods is a very big stockist for us, and then also Selfridges.
So who buys, for example, from Harrods? Middle East people mostly?
Yes, I guess there are a lot of customers from the Middle East. But I mean they're sort of a mixture of clientele. I think that the customer, the Harrods department store draws in. Okay. But then also, yes, I guess we also are stocked in the US and Italy.
Barney's I saw in the US, like the big department stores. I heard that a lot of my clients in the fashion sector don't really like working with the likes of Barney's and Saks because they all work on a consignment basis, and they pay, within 6 months, and only if you actually replenish the stock that they have. Right. So it just becomes a vicious circle where if you don't replenish the stock, they won't pay you, and and you have to keep on doing business with them where the terms are like they pay you at 6 months. Is that as a much stronger brand than the fashion brands that I meet at Hanoi, at the Man Trade Show in Paris, etc. Can you impose your terms on big US department stores like that, or is it still pretty challenging from a working capital standpoint? I
mean, I think from our size and the business size that we are at, it's again, it will be very difficult for us to approach, I think, some of the stockists in the US like in that way. Okay. I don't think that we have any sort of say in the way in which that they promote,
that you would accept to actually put your wares, your suitcases and your bags on consignment and only get paid for the stock when the end customer buys the product, or would you actually ask the Barney's of this world to actually put a firm order where they have to pay when they get the stock in, anyway, don't worry, but it's a big problem for brands, because it's great to be in a Barney's for prestige, but you don't make. I mean, a lot of my customers in the fashion sector, they don't really make a lot of money out of that because they get paid only if it's being sold, the product, and at 6 months, within 6 months. So
we have our wholesale manager who sort of deals with the stockists in the US. So
you don't have an external agent or distributor. You've got the in-house, the wholesale manager. Yeah, very good. Everything is done in-house.
Yeah, right. But one of the reasons why we are quite keen to market to the US is really because a lot of the sales online are coming through from the US. So in order to have some presence there, and so that to direct some of the customers who are interested in the brand.
And so how does that work? So they go into the where are you? You are at Barney's, you are...
I think we're also in Bloomingdale's.
Bloomingdale's, okay.
There's another stockist called Betty Hemmings as well. Okay.
Mostly New York and perhaps Los Angeles?
Yeah, I think one in Venice Beach in California, and then also, mainly in New York.
Right, yeah. Well, I would. I'm so surprised. It's exactly the style for New Yorkers, especially women. Like the what was it? The Sex and the City and stuff. So what would a US customer do? They would go to a Bloomingdale's or Barney's, look at your suitcases there, and then you're like, but I prefer to have this particular color, so I'm going to order it online. Would they go on directly on your online shop, or would they go to the Net-a-Porter and?
I think a lot of inquiries do come to the website. So either they would find what they want on our website and make a purchase, or they would get in touch with the store team at the flagship in London, and then they would ask what they have a certain colour, or sometimes that leads to a bespoke order. So that's another service that we offer in this flagship, where you can customise the colour of your boards or the leather straps or the corners to building something completely new
That's fantastic, because even the customer is involved in the creative process.
And
can be guided as well, because of course you don't want to select colours which are going to be dreadful together. So you can
absolutely, I mean,
last year my parents gave me as a present for Christmas the creation of a perfume in Grasse, which is very close to Nice, and which is like the world's capital for creating perfumes. For example, Chanel created a Parfum numéro 5, number 5 there. And I was like, okay, well, why not? So I took my 125cc, which is like a little motorbike, and I went there, and expecting nothing really. It was amazing to create your perfume. As a customer, you really feel empowered, and it's so creative, So I can understand. Well, I can't really afford, to be fairly honest, some custom-made Globe Trotter suitcases at this point in my life. But I think that for a customer who really wants to have control over the whole process and have something that is really to his or her taste, that's customization. It's fantastic.
I think it makes you also love the product more because you are involved in the creative process. And I think a lot of people who get their suitcases made with us, they're extremely proud of their luggage. So
absolutely.
Charlotte, would you mentor someone who is putting a custom order for like perhaps 3 or 4 pieces? Would you, in terms of selection of colors and materials, would you give them some constructive feedback as to whether it's going to look nice or not? Or would you even maybe with Illustrator make some sort of
I could definitely illustration. I'd definitely love to assist customers on that. But
has it happened already?
It hasn't. It does always go through our flagship store, and they deal with the retail staff. Who will have impeccable taste anyway. So
fair enough. Okay, so it would be more the salespeople who would give perhaps just feeding in for you some feedback. Well, that's very interesting. Wow, this is like a proper luxury experience.
I'm sure you've seen quite a few weird and wonderful creations actually.
Well, we have our repair service here, so you're always seeing cases come in that are like covered in stickers that are
I would
God
never
knows
do
how
it.
many years old.
I would never put some stickers on mine. I love them too much. I would never do
They
that.
look great though, they really do, and they look like they've told quite a few.
I saw this collaboration you did with this lady who used to be a stewardess for British Airways, and you actually went to the
Favish,
you went to this museum somewhere.
The BA museum is where we found the
Found
case
it,
basically.
And which was full of stickers, and then you did
it was incredible. That was such an amazing story. That's my favourite project actually to work on. Because it was just so real and so true. I think lots of brands kind of create that kind of story, and for us it kind of just landed on us, and Hilary Farish, we tracked Hilary Farish down, and now she's like a great. I think she's 81 now, actually.
Gosh, so she was able to input and
she did, and she's quite a good friend of the brand, and
she's a real Globe Trotter family, isn't she?
She's our mascot.
I saw it. You also gave her some suitcases as well to thank her.
So. Oh God, yeah.
And then the family said you can't use those suitcases. They're too beautiful. That's the whole purpose. You need to use
I know.
them.
Lots of our customers say that.
Well.
I know.
What's the point of buying some suitcases that you're not using? I don't see it. Seriously,
lots of people do say that, and friends say that as well, especially like our Safari Ivory case. But I mean, I own a Safari Ivory, and it's completely. I don't know. I love it. I love the
So
way
what would they do with it? They would just use it as storage?
No, I think some customers do actually buy cake.
Well, I also heard in Japan that people buy them as objet, just to have in their house.
Yeah.
Really amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
So they never use them for transport, they just as a almost an artwork
as an
or
aesthetic thing to have it as sort of as an interior item. Yeah,
I'm baffled.
There was one story where a lady came in and she bought an entire stack that was on display, and bought it there and then. She said that she's going to put it back into her house, and it's just going to stay there like a little pyramid.
Was that in Japan?
In Japan, yes, yeah.
Wow, lady of means.
Yeah.
Coming back to on actually the story with the perfume that I created ad hoc really, because I've never done that in my life. When 2 years ago, when I was in Grasse, the lady actually almost jumped on me at the end of a session because she wanted to have a formula.
Oh, really?
Yes, she did.
Wow.
Yes, and she told me that some of the thing that I created was really quite different from, and she couldn't quite place it between, because, for example, she said the Americans like something extremely sweet and poppy, while the people from the Middle East, they like a lot of oud and very strong and a lot of flowery. Anyway, and so she actually jumped on the formula. And why I'm drawing this comparison is I'd like to know, Charlotte, whether sometimes through this customization process, you've got customers who've got such absolutely exquisite taste and ideas that you actually, you use it as also a creative source of research for your own new products.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't yet that hasn't happened yet, but I think.
Not that I have some exquisite taste in perfume. Sorry, that sounded a bit lofty. You know what I mean? Like, can you use
but
that
we do.
to inspire yourself.
To be honest, I've never actually seen a suitcase go through the factory that doesn't. That's the opposite. That looks awful. They always. Yeah. I think the colours that we offer as well. Nothing really goes badly together anyway.
Okay.
I mean, we've got some suitcases in our. On display in store, which sort of illustrate the bespoke look. So each corner's a different colour, each strap's a different colour. It's completely multicoloured, and it looks absolutely fantastic like that on its own. So it's hard to actually make anything look bad anyway with our product. Right. I know that sounds.
I saw at the end of a production line when Momiji showed me earlier today in your factory that there are 2 or 3 chaps. Very, very concentrated on their work and looking at the products, the vanity case, the little trolley case, and just with a little sort of pin, and even a brush, just like and ensuring that the product is totally perfect. And I was really very impressed by this attention to detail.
Yeah, well, that's key, isn't it? So.
I wouldn't have thought that there was such attention to perfection, to be fairly honest. I wouldn't have thought about that.
Yeah, no, our quality control is extremely high. Yeah. So, it is absolutely key.
Yeah, so you're right, nothing can come out of this line being looking shitty.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not, no.
After what I've seen today, I agree it's not going to happen.
Well, it's a luxury product as well, isn't it? So it has to be, I mean, it's so important to us that every single suitcase, every single bag or wallet or passport cover, quality control is so high. Oh God, absolutely. Yeah, nothing kind of slips through the net.
And also the sort of simplicity of the design as well. It's easy to
timeless.
Yeah. But just to keep everything that is, part of the design has to be absolutely 100% perfect. So
devil's in the detail, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, when you have a Japanese owner, and from what I've seen from the articrafts made in Japan, I think that they definitely put a lot of emphasis on perfection, trying to reach perfection as much as possible. But I think that's great. This is something which is definitely putting you and your brand above a lot of other players, because it's not always because you pay a massive price that the product is going to last and be of very high quality, and then you feel a little bit dejected when that happens. Right. I am an aficionado, as we say in French, of Dover Street Market, so you'll often see me there in Mayfair, and I noticed that there was a collaboration with Comme des Garçons that you did, which for the little dots, if I remember well. Yeah. I also saw on your website that you've done some further collaborations with Wallpaper, Erdem,
yes.
And Erdem, and Asprey as well.
Yes.
So how does that come about? Do they approach you? Do you approach them?
Yeah, in the past, from my understanding, other brands have always approached us.
Always? Wow.
Well, yeah, I mean...
Can you talk about
mostly have approached us?
I think so. Yeah. It's either been a sort of mutual meeting where we're both interested. Both brands are interested in each other, and then it sort of grows from there. But I guess it's been a lot of the time people have seen the luggage and then have got an idea for it, and then they get in touch. Yeah.
So it's probably they bring their own aesthetics to a project. I suppose that the Hoddesdon suitcases were very flowery and very
they were
feminine.
So he was a friend of the brand, so that's how that kind of came about. And
what do you mean by that?
Well, he was a friend. He was like actual personal friend of the old brand manager at the time. So Gary Bott. So
I think Gary. Right. And how long has Gary Bott been around? Because I think when I bought my suitcases back in 2008, Pipa was looking after me whenever I had to come and have everything repaired or whatever. And I think this was her boss. Bobby.
Well, brand director, sorry, not brand manager. But he was. So he was with Globe Trotter for about 5 years, I think.
Okay.
And he left maybe like 3 or 4 years ago now.
So this collaboration with Hoddesdon,
was through Gary. So but it was a great collaboration, and I think our product, it could be quite like a blank canvas in some ways for some brands. So for Hoddesdon, we used like for one of the seasons, it was one of his seasonal colours, which we produced a bespoke colour from his seasonal colour palette for the external part of the case. And
so was it a monocolor or was it with motifs? Yeah.
The inside was from one of his silk linings, which had like butterflies or flowers.
And
then the outside was just a block kind of colour from his seasonal colour palette. So
that must have been that.
It was really beautiful. We did 3 seasons, I think, with him. So
fantastic. And do you keep archives of these various pieces?
Yeah, we do.
In storage or like online or a few photos, or do you?
We keep it here. We have it here in our factory archives. So
the lock.
Yeah, and we have a display also in our flagship store of some various special projects and collaborations. So.
It would be fantastic, perhaps, to approach, if I may, because I was at the Design Museum last weekend. I went on Sunday to see the Alaya retrospective.
Oh yes,
which was okay. I think there was a bigger one at the Musée de la Mode around a year and a half ago about Alaya, but it was okay. It would be fantastic, perhaps, to organise something with those guys at the Design Museum. Don't you think that makes sense? Especially if you've got massive archives in storage.
Yeah, I think
great idea. Yeah,
it's always nice to hear about if people think that it might work and just find out the idea or
perhaps part of an exhibition about travel. The art of travel or something. A focus point on Globe Trotter.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think there's definitely scope for. I was wondering. Also, on a business standpoint about those collaborations, do you? How does that work? I mean, is it usually for a license with royalties that you would do this, or?
Sometimes it is, and sometimes it's mutual collaboration where both brands are involved in selling the product equally. So,
I see.
For instance, I think we have very big collaborations with Tiffany or 007. That's a very big
what's
collaboration. Oh, sorry, James Bond.
James Bond. Yes. So that would be for a license agreement with some royalties, and also probably purchase of stock and everything.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Exactly.
And so you would be able to store this on your website, like no. You told me the Momiji that the Tiffany one is exclusive to the Tiffany.
Yes, so that
online retail.
Yeah, there are lots of
channels and
completely
stores.
Completely depends on the type of contract that we enter into with the other brand, but. It's most of the time either exclusive, so some brands just hold complete rights to selling the product from them, or we would both collaborate in marketing a product together and selling them both brands selling it together. So
so you're showing a lot of flexibility as well in the
it really is. It's dependent on what the other person wants or what works for us, and finding a compromise. But most of the time it's very flexible, and it totally depends on what each of the brands are looking for at the time.
Amazing. And for you, I suppose it raises your profile and perhaps also reaches the customer base of the Tiffany of its world.
Absolutely, It's just interesting too, just to have it's just interesting to be able to present a new product that could be different, and there is a very big appetite for limited editions, especially in Japan. So we have a lot of collectors.
Not only in Japan.
Globally, but we just have lots of people wanting if they know that it's a limited edition of 100 or 120 or 200, they want to have part of the piece of that jigsaw puzzle for their luggage collection.
And
so
it would sell like hotcakes.
Yeah,
Which is great. You mentioned as well that you did a collaboration, Charlotte, with Gucci, I believe. Is that something you may be able to talk about? When we went into your office, we saw this Gucci bag.
Yeah, so that will be launched for 2018. But
it's not in the market yet.
No, not yet.
Because you told me that it was shown at the February show, which probably is for winter. Right.
So it'll go on sale in August.
Fantastic.
But we can't really talk about it too much. But it's but yeah, I mean,
I can convince you.
Yeah, but the Gucci collaboration is really with them, and that we just provided the design for one of the bags.
You did.
Yeah.
Just one?
I think there are
there's a few different designs.
Yeah, about a dozen or so, I think. So
wow, that's much more than one bag.
But it really does depend. It's completely up to them what they decide to put into the very last selection of the collection.
Oh, it's like a pick and choose.
I think so.
Wow. Yeah. Wow, fantastic. And so they will do the pick and choose thing, and then you would go through the prototypes, and then you will go into production.
Yeah.
Wow,
just
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Would that be exclusively, if it's something you can mention, would that be exclusively for their shops or
just for their shops? Yeah.
Okay. A bit like a Tiffany deal.
Yeah, exactly.
That is going to give you such wide, such exposure to the Gucci, because Gucci is one of the coolest brands. I mean, Balenciaga is even performing better than Gucci in the Kering group, but after Balenciaga we've got Gucci and Yves Saint Laurent. Saint Laurent, and so it's so trendy. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
You're going to be all over the world with your limited edition of Gucci. It's fantastic. Yeah. You told me that inside there would be the word Globe Trotter, the brand trademark would be inside. So people will also be able to. Yeah, that's good. That's great marketing.
Yeah.
And business deal. Well done.
We've got a very good brand partnerships director who is who's very on the ball with that.
You have a brand partnership director, like doing exclusively these sort of things.
So everything from stockist, wholesale to brand collaborations. We have a very good director there who supports us. So,
Awesome. Yeah. It's paying off, sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just coming back on this point about the rising power and also demands of the Asian market, especially under a Japanese management of your brand, which is very much focusing on quality control, attention to detail, more perhaps subtle colors, and also innovation through new products. How would you say that the strategy and the planning from a design and marketing standpoint are evolving under this Japanese management, and also in view of the rising wishes of your Chinese and Japanese customers, and also I can't remember how you call them, but the people who come from Malaysia, Philippines, perhaps not the Philippines, but Malaysia, South Korea, etc., etc. How are you adjusting to the needs of this? I mean, do they represent a big portion, firstly, of your customer base, or it's within? It's just perhaps the same thing than Europeans or Americans or people from Middle East. Is it the same percentage of?
I think
sales?
We're obviously aware that there's a huge customer base in Japan.
So for you, it's like your strongest, some of your strongest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that the brand has got a lot of visibility over there, which is fantastic. But I guess, I mean, I don't know not really about design really, but in terms of marketing, we try to. It's more about the British heritage and the craftsmanship that's the main messages and the sort of sense of adventure that you want to communicate to the whole world as well. So
it becomes a pleasure to travel.
Absolutely. So
I've got my eyes on the new model, the vanity case.
Oh yeah.
Gosh, that one I don't know. To put all your beauty products and your jewelry.
It's very, very handy, the vanity case.
Yeah, I've got one.
So of course, I'm the designer of a brand. Yeah, I mean, feel free. But so how did this come about? Was that, for example, that vanity case, was that a demand from your Asian clientele? clientele, or just generally, or
that was actually designed before I joined the company, actually. So
so
it was kind of So when I
Okay.
joined, there was quite a much smaller range of suitcases,
I
but that
remember.
was one of them.
Okay.
But since I've been here, we have been, updating it, in very subtle ways.
Yes.
So
making it more feminine,
more easier to use, and but
But a lot of your designs sometimes come from inspiration from an old army catalogue where it was one of the very original sort of, I guess it was like a sort of Argos.
Yeah.
It was a travelling catalogue which people could buy products from, and Globe Trotter was listed in one of them. And so a lot of the luggage that's sold on there is really for streamliners.
going to the US.
Really for ship travel.
I saw this exhibition at the Victoria and Albert Museum about the streamliners going from and certain members of my family also moved to America from Italy and France. So I was like, oh gosh, so that's they were in third class, they were not in first class. But it was amazing to see that. Did you actually put some of your suitcases in that exhibition?
No, we didn't. I think a lot of the luggage that was talked about were different brands in that exhibition, but we still see these designs that are travel cases. So they're big wardrobe cases that you sort of almost open up.
Yeah. Wow.
And you hang your suit, and there's little compartments, so they're drawers to put your shoes in, and
shoecases.
So you think that back in in the 40s or 50s, the Globe Trotter products were quite sort of commodity products. They were not luxury products at the time, were they?
Yeah, they were sort of in the from.
They were in the Argos catalogue.
Well, not the Argos catalogue.
But
they were sort of common luggage pieces that everyone could use. And my grandmother, for instance, has got a Globetrotter that she was given as a routine, I think.
There you go. And so you've completely positioned it really, and not even premium. This is no longer a premium brand. This is like a proper luxury brand. So you've really repositioned the brand in the next 15 years.
Yeah, I think that's what our CEO was just really keen to do. I think
that's a great niche.
Yeah.
This is where I personally see that this is where there's the most area of growth, really.
Yeah. But just always keeping an eye on that, on the patterns, I guess, of the traveller needs, I guess, isn't it? So, like, as in, like, Charlotte was talking about redesigning the 20-inch trolley case in order to comply with airline regulations and trying to figure out what people who do enjoy travelling on trains, what sort of luggage they like. Do they prefer to keep them? Do they want to put it up on the hold on the top of the train, or sort of
and every time you have to actually register some patents, did you say, on that, or perhaps some designs?
Sometimes minor tweaks to existing designs in order to
and so you register it as patent. That's is that what you said?
No, not a patent, just adjusting the design of the core collection in order to suit the passenger needs.
The Japanese management has repositioned the brand towards much more luxury and attention to detail, etc. But in your day-to-day life, as a creative designer, I understand perhaps that it's you don't draw your inspiration only from what your Asian customers want.
No,
you're just much more free-flowing. And
as Momiji said, the Britishness and the craftsmanship is super important to us. But also when I design it, I kind of design with an international kind of mind as well. So it, as we say in the USA is, becoming more popular for us, and and of course our Asian market, but our own market as well. So I have to kind of be mindful of certain regions, but design internationally. So.
Very good. How do you see Charlotte and Momiji Globetrotter evolving in the future? Now that the luxury market is in full recovery mode all over the world, really, and that Asian clients in particular are back to shopping en masse, in particular in Europe, with a duty-free shopping. So is that where they don't have to pay most of the VAT? What do you plan to do in the future? How do you see things evolving?
I think like collaborations such as Gucci and Tiffany that are launching this year, I think that's already going to open up a widespread range of new customers, and And that's kind of a way I've seen in my time. I've seen the brand grow in that way.
Yeah,
it's through our collaborations and evolving in house as well, I suppose.
Yeah.
Don't you think that some stores as well would be, some additional flagship stores would be a good idea?
Yeah, I think it'd be really interesting to explore those sort of avenues. That I think would be obviously so exciting for the brand. Yeah, and just experimenting and meeting new customers and seeing what they're, how growing the customers in the US, for example, more in Europe, and maybe, different areas of Asia would be a really exciting prospect, I think, for the brand. Yeah.
Which areas in particular?
I don't know. I mean, I think, for instance, I think Korea is a big market where there a lot of people,
very fine South Koreans,
also I think they're very trend led. So if you can really tap into a very mainstream trend, you can really target a market there. But at the same time, something that's great about Globe Trotter
is... You should do something with K-pop stars.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, I know. The rising popularity goes crazy. But I think one of the other things that people love about the brand is sometimes that it's only people who know about the brand know about it. There's a sort of a hiddenness about the brand, which is also very appealing to some people.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you want to expand, you want to get more famous, etc. But you don't want to overexpand so that you end up in a Target or being copied in a Target. Fair enough. But I think there's still some room for that.
Oh yeah.
For expansion,
absolutely,
in a safe manner for your brand, without diluting its trademark, its reputation.
We're nowhere near sort of that area there. But
already, moving the flagship store from Burlington Arcades to Albemarle Street was, I think, a great step up, because that shop is, it's just like wow.
Yeah.
It's really wow, the wow effect. And there's Portsmouth also on the other side of the road, on the street, etc. So you are also very well surrounded.
Yeah.
But I think, if I may, I suggest as constructive feedback, if I was a customer about to buy, say, a set of 3 or 4, and I'm based in the US, I wouldn't buy it online. I would want to actually see it.
To see it and see the product, in
the shop before I actually invest 10 grand into potentially into buying a set, so. Yeah,
absolutely, and I think it's really nice feedback for us to know that you enjoy going to the flagship, because I think
even for a few repairs and stuff like that. That's how I discovered that vanity case.
Yeah, exactly. But you get to. But it should be an experience where people, it's not, the purpose is not really to, not always to buy something there, obviously, but just to have an experience of what it's like to know that there's a repair service, to know that there's a new product launching, to know that all the retail staff are there to help you, no matter what your concern is or what your request is. So we also have the bespoke service there as well. So it's just, it's more... It's nice to hear that experience.
Is it also possible, for example, for customers to order online so in the UK, for your website, and then to have it shipped to, click and collect, and then you go and collect it at Barney's or at, and see whether it's a good fit? And
I don't think we have that feature yet. So, and normally if they were to collect at the stockist, it would be something that we redirect to the stockist. So we would ask Harrods or Selfridges or Barney's to correspond with the
I see. Customer. But if they buy it online, it's not an omni-canal strategy.
No,
you would ship them straight to the. Okay.
Yeah, normally, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Well, last. I guarantee it's the last one. I was wondering, because you've got such a unique product, let's say, and it's a unique positioning in this traveling industry. It's completely different from a Rowena, this German brand which has just been bought recently by LVMH. They like this sort of metallic. Rowena.
Sorry.
Rimowa. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's completely. You are indeed basically leveraging the heritage, the traditional aspect, but with a twist, etc. So you have a proper niche, but with success often comes also being copied and people trying to basically take advantage of your research and development and your creativity. So do you have this issue of being copied and have a lot of basically counterfeit Globe Trotter cases being on the market? And if so, especially online, with those cheap stuff coming from China, I've got a lot of clients who've got this issue. So I was wondering whether this is also touching yourself. And if you have this issue, how do you deal with it? How do you enforce your rights, your design rights, your copyrights?
I think in Japan there's a brand or two that try to copy our suitcases. But I think the way that they're made here with our original Victorian machinery, they're kind of, everything's made by hand. I think it's very difficult to really copy our product.
Okay.
So we're very lucky in that way.
Good.
And I know I'm biased, but they're really like it. The products, when you put it next to a counterfeit, to me they're miles apart. And a lot of that is from the craftsmanship of how it's made. And the unique materials, the vulcanized fiberboard, and so.
Well, okay. So what you are saying is that such an expertise in making those vulcanized fiberboard suitcases that is extremely difficult to replicate.
Yeah,
right.
And the way it's made here, it's made in England. It's
more of a know-how that protects you. It's like such a technically complex know-how that it's not you're not so much protected by design rights or copyright. It's just the complexity of actually making a product.
It's the way that it's always been made. And it still is made the way it was, from day one, and we haven't changed that. So I think it's very difficult for other brands to copy that. So
good. So counterfeiting is not, and cheap copies of Globetrotter suitcases is not really an issue for you guys.
Not, we know it exists, but it's not. I don't think it's an issue because it just doesn't match the
market. Well, that's very lucky. You are lucky. That's very rare. Lots of my clients actually suffering, especially with the online platforms, the likes of Amazon, Taobao, and in the anyway, all the Chinese platforms really suffer with cheap copies coming from China of their wares. Great. Good for you. Well, I wish you every success, and please keep on being creative and making some funky and super traditional suitcases and leather accessories, ladies. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. I really mean it. Thank you for listening to our podcast, Lawfully Creative, produced by Crefovi Studios. Subscribe to our podcast or catch up with our original shows on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, SoundCloud, TuneIn, and Overcast. Please do leave a review and rating about our podcast, Lawfully Creative, to encourage others to discover our curated content. Thank you.